So the wind howling off the Montserrat Mountains in Catalonia is, well, it's just freezing. It's this incredibly rugged, unforgiving landscape of jagged stone and plunging ravines.
Right, definitely not a runway.
No, exactly. Honestly, it's the last place on Earth you'd expect to find the orchestrator of global glamour. But we're talking about a fashion titan, a man who built a multi-billion-dollar empire of beauty, style, and, curated perfection.
Yeah.
But on a freezing December day, this billionaire took a final, fatal plunge down a 500-foot rocky cliffside. And the only person there to watch him fall.
His own son.
His own son. This is the story of how an empire completely unraveled. The mango billionaire fell from a cliff. Now his own son has been arrested.
It really is a profound collision of two completely different worlds. You have the glossy, highly controlled environment of high fashion just crashing into the gritty, unpredictable reality of a true crime investigation.
Welcome to a special deep dive on Starscope Report. If you're joining us for the first time, our mission here is usually uncovering Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral pop culture scandals.
Yeah, we basically love to dismantle the machinery behind fame.
We do. But today, we're looking at a story where that machinery breaks down in, well, the most tragic way possible. We're pulling back the curtain on a mystery that has captivated the world, and we're thrilled you're here to unpack it with us.
The contrast is really what makes this so compelling. I mean, Isak spent his entire life ensuring every single mango window display was perfectly controlled.
Perfectly lit, perfectly manicured.
Exactly. But the environment he chose for his final hike, those unpredictable Montserrat mountains, it just stripped away all of that control in an instant.
It really did. And to understand the gravity of that loss, we have to look at the staggering scale of his life. Isak Andic was 71 years old, and he was sitting on an estimated $4.5 billion fortune.
Billion with a B.
Yes, a B. He was the wealthiest man in Catalonia. But, he didn't inherit a single cent of it.
And that is a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate rags to riches narrative, which it deeply informed his psychology and how he ran his business. Isak was actually born into a Sephardic Jewish family in Istanbul, Turkey.
Okay.
And in the late 1960s, his family immigrated to Spain. He started out as a teenager, literally selling T-shirts to his classmates at the American high school in Barcelona.
See, I always find those origin stories so fascinating. He goes from selling shirts out of a high school locker to hawking clothes at these hippie flea markets in Barcelona.
Yeah.
He just had this incredible intuition for what people wanted to wear.
Yeah.
And by 1984, he opens the very first Wango store on the Paseo de Gracia, which is essentially the Fifth Avenue of Barcelona.
He fundamentally revolutionized Spanish retail. You have to remember the historical context here. Spain was just emerging from the shadow of the Franco dictatorship.
Right. Huge cultural shift.
Exactly. So Isak realized that the public craved color, they craved modern style, and most importantly, they needed it to be accessible. He built Mongo into an undisputed global juggernaut.
It was everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. At its peak, the brand boasted more than 2,850 stores across 120 markets. In 2023 alone, the company generated 3.8 billion euros in revenue.
And they were addressing the biggest names in the world, right? Like Victoria Beckham, Kate Moss, Penelope Cruz. Mango was collaborating with high-end designers and cultivating this incredibly refined, glamorous image.
Yeah.
Which makes the events of December 14, 2024 so incredibly jarring.
The day the narrative shifted forever.
So Isak decides to go hiking in the Montserrat Mountains near the Salinator Caves, just outside of Barcelona. And he goes with his 45-year-old eldest son, Jonathan. Just the two of them.
Right.
Now, this area is known for steep drops. And somehow, this 71-year-old billionaire falls 500 feet, about 150 meters, which is roughly a 40-story building down a steep, rocky ravine.
The logistics of the recovery tell you everything you need to know about the brutality of that terrain. Emergency responders couldn't just hike down there.
No?
No, they had to deploy a massive helicopter and a highly specialized mountain rescue unit just to retrieve his body from the bottom of that gorge.
Wow. And when the authorities finally reach the top, Jonathan is standing there as the sole witness. I mean, he is the only person on Earth who can tell the police what happened.
And Jonathan's official statement was that it was a horrific accident. He claimed his father was walking behind him on the trail, lost his footing, slipped, and just tumbled over the edge.
And initially, the authorities closed the book, right?
Yeah, they did. In January 2025, just weeks after the fall, a judge officially ruled it a tragic hiking accident.
Let's unpack this for a second, because when this story first broke, I remember the public being instantly suspicious. But I want to push back on that initial suspicion for a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's be fair, hiking at 71 on rugged terrain, isn't a tragic accident the most logical Occam's razor explanation here? I mean, older hikers slip, loose rocks give way.
Sure.
It sounds like a tragic end to a real-life Succession character, but not necessarily a crime.
It is entirely logical, which is exactly why the investigators initially accepted it. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one. And, it remained a closed case until the physical evidence started telling a completely different story.
If you're loving these high-fashion twists, make sure you're subscribed, because the forensic evidence they uncovered next changes the entire trajectory of this story.
The shift from a closed accident case to a criminal probe was really meticulous. Behind the scenes, the Catalan Regional Police, the Mossos d'Esquadra, they never really stopped digging.
Right.
So in March of 2025, they quietly reopened the case. And by October, it had officially escalated into a full-blown homicide investigation.
Which is wild. You don't just pivot from he slipped to he was murdered without serious, undeniable proof.
So what exactly did the medical examiners find? How do you distinguish a tragic slip from a fatal push?
Well, it comes down to biomechanics and physics. The forensic autopsy findings practically ruled out a simple slip or stumble.
Really? Think about it. When a human being accidentally falls, their instinct is to survive, right? They scramble, they reach out. You will typically see very specific defensive wounds, scraped palms, broken fingernails, maybe bruising on the knees from trying to catch the ledge.
Oh, that makes sense.
Furthermore, a slip usually results in the body tumbling down the face of the cliff, hitting outcroppings along the way.
But that isn't what they found with Isak.
No, not at all. The medical examination suggested a much more forceful impact, one that completely contradicted the physics of slipping from behind.
Wait, so he was launched?
Yes. A sudden, violent push from the back significantly alters the body's center of gravity. It propels the victim outward, creating a different parabolic arc.
Wow.
They clear the immediate edge and go into a free fall, resulting in a completely different pattern of blunt force trauma upon final impact.
That is horrifying. But what confuses me, though, is the location itself.
Right.
If you're going to orchestrate a quote-unquote tragic accident, wouldn't you pick the most treacherous, narrow ridge possible?
You'd think so.
You would want a path that looks incredibly dangerous to justify the fall. But from what I understand, the specific path wasn't even classified as highly dangerous.
And that is the exact miscalculation the investigators keyed in on. The path they were traversing was relatively wide and stable.
Right.
For a seasoned hiker like Isak to just spontaneously lose his footing and fall 500 feet in that specific spot was statistically highly unusual. The environment just did not match the narrative of the accident.
And then there was the smoking gun, which honestly gave me chills when I read it. The phone lie.
Oh yeah, this is big.
During the initial interviews, the police asked Jonathan standard procedural questions. Did you take any photos? Were you documenting the hike for social media? And Jonathan explicitly told them, no, I didn't take any photos that day.
But months later, when a judge authorized police to seize and analyze Jonathan's phone records, they found deleted images from the scene.
I mean, that is massive. If we connect this to the bigger picture of criminal investigations, it's almost always the cover-up that unravels the lie, right? Why lie about taking photos? And more importantly, why delete them?
Exactly. The judge's writ highlighted all of these discrepancies. By recovering that metadata, police found major inconsistencies in Jonathan's story about exactly where he was standing when his father fell.
Were they timestamped at the wrong hour or something?
It was a mix of things. It proved inconsistencies about his location and even where they had parked the car. But the most chilling detail in the court documents was the judge citing evidence of, quote, prior planning and study of the scene.
Prior planning. That implies this was not a spontaneous weekend hike, but a premeditated selection of a kill site.
Yeah, that's what they're alleging.
And when these details started leaking to the press, the public reaction was just explosive. You have this stark contrast of a billionaire fashion icon, a deadly cliff, a privileged heir, and a deleted camera roll.
It's like something out of a movie.
It really is. The internet lit up. People were commenting online, saying things like, way, way too convenient, and it was just them too. Another viral comment just flatly read, "This is pure evil."
The court of public opinion is swift, but the actual court of law requires a motive. I mean, why would a son who already enjoys the immense privileges of being a billionaire's heir risk spending his life in a Spanish prison to harm his own father?
Right. Why would a son do this to a father who gave him the world? Stay tuned. and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next, because the financial motive they uncovered is staggering.
The motive, as investigators allege, is rooted in a family empire that was bleeding millions and a bitter, humiliating struggle for the corporate crown.
Let's set the stage for that, because the dynamic between Isak and Jonathan was, well, it was highly volatile. This is not a nurturing passing of the torch scenario.
Far from it. We have to rewind to 2014 and 2015. Isak, entering his late 60s, wants to start stepping back, so he puts Jonathan, who at the time was running the menswear division, a mango man in charge of the entire company, alongside a team of executives.
Right, so Jonathan is the heir apparent. He has the keys to the kingdom.
He does. But he crashes the car. It's like handing a teenager the keys to a Ferrari, watching them crash it into a wall, and then legally forcing them to sit in the passenger seat while you drive it for the rest of their life.
That is such a good analogy.
Under Jonathan's leadership, this multi-billion-euro fashion house starts losing millions. The company is legitimately struggling. And Isak, the man who built this from the ground up, selling shirts out of a backpack, is not going to just watch his legacy tank.
No way.
So Isak ruthlessly steps back in. He strips his son of the primary leadership role, demotes him, and personally takes over the financial recovery himself.
I mean, imagine the profound psychological humiliation of that. You're handed a global empire, you fail publicly, and your legendary father has to come out of retirement to clean up your mess.
It creates deep, lingering resentment. And that tension only escalated over the next decade. Fast forward to December 2023, just 1 year before the fatal hike.
Right.
Isak decides to accelerate his plans for succession, but in a way that completely blindsides Jonathan.
This is the breaking point, isn't it? Isak decides to push his own family out of the day-to-day operations entirely. He hands primary executive control to an outsider, a non-family professional named Tony Ruiz, who is appointed CEO.
Yeah.
But Isak doesn't just give Tony Ruiz a fancy title. He gives him a 5% ownership stake in the company.
You really need to pause and look at the mechanics of why that 5% is so devastating. In a family-owned billionaire empire, giving away 5% to a non-family member is a nuclear option.
It's huge.
It's not just about the money, it's about corporate dilution and voting blocks. Think about it. If Jonathan and his two sisters hold the remaining 95% and the siblings ever disagree on the direction of the company, that outsider with the 5% holds the tie-breaking vote. Isak essentially handed an employee the power to overrule his own son. It is the ultimate statement of no confidence.
It strips the heir of guaranteed control. And this tension was not a secret kept in the boardroom. Isak's partner, professional golfer Estefania Guth, actually testified to investigators about the intense ongoing clashes between Isak and Jonathan.
She had a front row seat to it.
She did. She revealed that there was a bitter financial dispute brewing over Isak's will and the future of the estate.
So you have a partner witnessing the empire fracturing from the inside.
Right, so you have a humiliated heir, a billionaire father handing the tie-breaking vote to an outsider, fierce fights over the will, and then, well, a secluded hike on a cliff with no other witnesses. Which brings us to the explosive climax of this investigation, May 19, 2026.
Gear arrest.
Picture this scene. Isak Andic, the 45-year-old vice chairman of Mango's board of directors, a man who grew up in the highest echelons of European society, who wears bespoke suits and attends global galas. He is paraded into a Martorell courthouse in handcuffs.
Yeah.
Police had detained him that morning. He spends an hour behind closed doors with the investigating judge.
And he does not walk out a free man. The judge forces Jonathan to surrender his passport. He is legally banned from leaving the country, ordered to check in with the court weekly, and forced to post a staggering €1 million bail just to avoid pretrial detention.
Unbelievable.
And the judge made it explicitly clear in the rulings the case is officially being investigated as a charge of homicide.
What is so wild to me, and this is where the corporate PR machine clashes violently with a murder investigation, is that despite the arrest, despite the deleted photos, despite the biomechanics of the autopsy, the Andic family is standing firmly behind Jonathan.
They presented an incredibly united front. The family released a public statement expressing complete confidence in his innocence.
Which is shocking.
They claimed there is no legitimate evidence against him and stated their cooperation with authorities would be full and transparent. His defense lawyer even called the homicide theory inconsistent and argued it stigmatizes an innocent man.
There were even anonymous sources leaking to the press claiming that Isak and Jonathan were actually on great terms right before the hike, that they frequently spent time together.
Really?
Yeah, it's this bizarre alternate reality. One side is saying this is a cold-blooded assassination for control of a fashion empire, and the other side is saying It is just a grieving family being ruthlessly persecuted for a tragic accident.
I mean, put yourself in the shoes of Jonathan's two sisters for a moment.
Okay.
You own 95% of a 3.8 billion euro fashion empire with your brother, but the police are telling you he pushed your father off a mountain.
Right.
Do you protect the stock price, the brand, and your remaining family by defending him? Or do you seek justice for your father, knowing it will drag your family name through the mud and potentially destroy the company?
It is an impossible dilemma.
Hmm.
You walk into a brightly lit, beautifully designed Mongo store anywhere in the world today. You browse the racks of perfectly curated clothes, and you're participating in an empire where the reigning king is accused of murdering the founding father.
It raises a vital question about corporate legacy. We usually measure a brand's legacy in balance sheets, global expansion, and cultural impact. But when the architects of that legacy are entangled in something this profoundly disturbing, it forces us to examine the human cost of empire building.
Yeah.
Does the ruthless drive required to build a billion-dollar fortune from nothing inevitably create an environment where ultimate betrayal becomes a business strategy?
That is exactly what I want you, the listener, to mull over as we wrap up today. When an empire is built entirely on curating a flawless, beautiful public image, what happens to that legacy when the curtain is pulled back to reveal allegations of greed, humiliation, and a fatal push in the mountains? Can a global brand survive when his royal family is accused of the ultimate betrayal? It's something to think about the next time you see a perfect window display.
Definitely.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.